even having like my ass and my boobs like blasted in Playboy, even to your thing, I'm like, if this dude got out, and I always default to that. I'm like, well, you could just say you were in Playboy. So like you own it. Like you own, but I still have that thing of like, oh God, would it be bad?
Well, we have your ass
right,
in
like,
these
won't it be
Instagram
bad?
photos. Taylor's ass is right on our Instagram. So in a very intellectually tasteful way. And I noticed like you're the only one really smiling in the photo.
That
Did
is
you realize?
hilarious.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. This is Andrew, and I am joined with Mary DePippi as a co-host. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Andrew.
So I am so excited, Mary, that we get to welcome back one of our favorite guests. She is all things pop culture provocateur. She hosts the Cancel Me Baby show. She's a celebrity whisperer. She's an entrepreneur. She's wearing her canceled hat that I also wear to the gym when I do thirst traps, which I think everyone's seen my thirst traps now, posting some underwear photos. And I think it's relevant for what we're about to talk to. This is Taylor Ferber. Welcome,
Yes.
Taylor.
Hi, guys. Look how excited my nipples are when you're talking about your thirst traps. I mean, you can't even fake that. You can't even fake that.
I don't want to look too hard at your nipples, Taylor. I don't, even though since I'm gay, I guess I would have some permission, but don't want to.
I mean, listen, the whole world did, which is what we're going to be talking about today, right? Well, not the whole world, but
Well, the Playboy universe. Yeah. So we are here
today
to honor Taylor Ferber. And I think there were how many other journalists in this
5
Playboy spread? 5.
Yes.
Okay. So it came out in January in actual print, right? Your spread in Playboy.
Yes. And first of all, can I just say I'm so excited to be back here. I'm obsessed with both of you. I'm obsessed with your brains and how you do things, like how your brains work, the, intellectual side, but you're also both smoking hot and gorge. And I just love everything that you guys are about, which actually is fitting, which is exactly what the feature was. So yes, I always had this dream of being the girl who could do it, who could do both, who could be the thought leader and the writer and the contributor with really thought-provoking pieces, but also pose and do a gorgeous pictorial. And so I brought the idea to Playboy. I had already been contributing a little bit at that time, doing some celebrity interviews. And I said, what if you had, a handful of female journalists break out of the box and do both? And could you imagine any other outlet having their own writers and journalists, like a Vanity Fair or something? Like they are also stick up their butt, nose in the air, like they would never. And it's sad because that was the whole point of how freeing and empowering and liberating it is as a woman to embody all things. I mean,
well, let's start there. I actually put a quote out from Taylor was giving Mary and I the behind the scenes so the photos, the magazine comes out in January, but then you all can go to our show notes. There's a link to what's called A New Wave on Physical and Intellectual Autonomy. 6 writers bear all in photo and essay form, photographed by Natasha Wilson. So she's the photographer. March 8th, 2019. And Taylor, I love when you've already mentioned it, but you said something that I was really drawn to when each of you get this blurb about what it meant to be breaking the boundary with intellect and sexiness. And you said, you don't have to be one or the other. You can be both. You can one day take your clothes off and pose if you want to. And the next day you can be an intelligent journalist.
Yes. Amen, sister.
I love that quote, Taylor.
It's almost like the Jane Fonda thing, right? It's like the broad burning feminist activists in the streets and then the total sex object on screen. Like I am just so obsessed with it. And you know what was really provocative about this is that it was on the heels of Me Too. So that's what made it extra like eye-popping and whoa, because you're in a time where women, we were all in Hollywood. We shot this in, right outside Hollywood. are coming forward about being almost these, and I would never downplay victimhood, right? But almost being like the fragile sort of, under the control of like toxic men in Hollywood. And we're here. I mean, one of the girls, maybe two of them actually speak about being rape victims and controlling, like taking power back. And that's what was so provocative. It's that you have us in that time, like in the height of that climate, really owning our bodies and our minds and our power, and what it all meant in the face of Me Too, for us to reclaim that power instead of kind of, cave to I guess like a victim mentality of it. And so that's what I thought was really very special and really cool about it, because it would have people turn heads being like, whoa, what are they doing? And it's like, if you don't get it, you miss the point. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Because it was in that time. So yeah, and to your point, we all brought something different. Our common thread is that we all were contributors to Playboy in some way. So one woman is like a spiritual guru. One, she calls herself the modern whore. I think she may have done sex work. One is a sexologist. Like, we all came from different walks of life and wrote essays, exactly to your point, about what it meant to us individually.
Yeah,
so.
that you don't have to be sexy or smart. That's like a tagline I kept hearing. There's a really cool video of the behind the scenes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And that's what was like cool, because it's not exploited. It's not like, here's my whole labia. It's like very artful. And all of our photos, notice, are as a group. There's never like a one-off, which was on purpose, obviously. And it's this very sort of like vintage 50s. It's like we're in an office with papers and pens and phones, and
you're on a typewriter too.
Yes, the typewriter. And
so all the photos are on our Ivory Tower Boiler Room Instagram. Shout out to Natasha Wilson again, because I do not want to get in trouble with Playboy.
No, you're good. They are,
good.
Feel free to float them. No, pass them around, staple them to a tree, whatever you want to do, have at it. But and you're so right. Like that thing about you're either smart or sexy. So funny enough, this was kind of besides that, I always had this dream. The idea also came because it was like the height of the birth of the Instagram model. And I found myself, and we still do this, right? We see a really hot girl and we don't think she's that smart, or we think like that's what she has to offer. She's like really gorgeous and she has the boobs and the blonde hair, whatever it is. And I found myself like kind of falling in that trap. I would see these like Instagram models and all this, and I'd be like, they could have a Harvard degree. They could be writing a dissertation. We don't know. Like, why, and we still do it. Think about politicians. It's like, they're all like covered up because it's appropriate and it's what, is acceptable and we have to do. And it's just like, our society is very much still in those boxes,
Yeah.
Speaking of society and victimhood, I mean, you touched on it briefly. I feel like society has this view of female victimhood, which is you're vulnerable, because you were in this type of situation, therefore you have to be vulnerable. There's something about you that has to be broken, and that we need to tend to it. And it's like, no, we're very capable individuals of picking up the pieces of this.
Yeah. And it's also, I have a line in my essay and it says, women, like, to your point, Mary, it's like, I can strive for the Pulitzer and I can also strive to be centerfold. But it's like, why is that's the thing? It's like we downplay one as if like, oh, you're not okay, or like you're damaged, or you're this. We'll talk about The Girls Next Door, the podcast that they did, Andrew, that we listened to before this. But I was listening to Bridget, one of the girls, talk about how she had this dream of like being a playmate and a centerfold. And it reminded me of that. It's like, right. Like that is a really empowering thing, to put your beauty and sexuality on display like that. Like, it is fire,
And people think it's so easy. And it's like, do you not understand that like society is and again, not just women, but everyone in general, like if you don't look a certain way, you're not considered attractive.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's actually so not fair.
Yeah. And you know what? That's something though, Taylor, like I'm not sure if the episode has been titled this, as we'll see. I have a few ideas of what this is going to be called, but I was kind of thinking Playboy versus Playgirl. And the reason I say that is because I don't know, Mary, if I think women are held to a different sexy smart standard than men. And I kind of wanted to dig into that because I don't hear those conversations about men and sexiness and smart, like intellect. Like, I feel like you could be the hottest man of the year and you still could be seen as intellectual. Like, I don't think the sexiness of the man, the intellect is taken away. But maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Part of me wonders if it has to do with like our biological lizard brains. Because let's face it, women or females are the part of the species where technically that's, finding a mate to procreate is like, part of the deal, right? But also with that, through societal norms and everything like that, I mean, we've never lived in a society where the woman was the breadwinner constantly. We live in a society where the man is considered the breadwinner. So part of me wonders if that's just like indoctrinated in our brains, that because they have this other, value, that we don't look at the sexiness. We go, okay, all right, yes, he can be sexy, but yes, also does he have a really good job and make money?
So you're seeing it from a patriarchal model. Okay.
Not that I approve of that. I'm not.
No. Well, I don't know.
But
even if I believe fully that that's happening, but okay, throw your theory out there, Mary. Okay. So Mary has a theory. Taylor, I'm curious what you think.
This is something I've been really loving exploring personally. And as men, women, right? The idea of, again, tapping into both. And I would actually argue on some level, the same thing goes for men, right? I lived in LA for years. And when you would see a pretty boy model, you would assume you would assume that there's rocks floating around in there. You know what I mean? Like that's, again, it's that thing. It's like, that's what they have. And I think when it comes to both men and women or whoever it is, there is something so unmatched than when someone is like exuding sexuality, but smart, like for men and women. And because I've been really exploring this concept a lot lately, I've had conversations about this being like, who's an example of some famous, politicians, pop culture, whatever it is, men and women who really embodied this. And, it's hard to come by, but again, it's something that's just so enchanting and mesmerizing about someone because we're visual beings, right? I mean, obviously we're going to get into the Playboy Playgirl thing, but so when someone stimulates you in a physical sense, and then intellectually, your brain just like melts. You're just like, it's like an anomaly, it's just the best thing ever. And it's funny because even, playing with this concept, I was thinking to myself, like, is Brad Pitt super smart? Is Leo DiCaprio? So, I'm even thinking politicians, right? Like JFK, like what was, you know what I mean? Both of the, like Robert Redford or Paul Newman, like, were they super smart? So either way, it's just, I just think it's like, it's just this like power that no one can touch.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll return to like what Mary's throwing out there, but I'm curious, like coming from academics, I do feel like there's this stereotype of the scholar, like that they're aloof or they like have glasses, which I do wear glasses. I have contacts in right now, but like you could be disheveled and it's like, oh, okay, it's all in their mind. Like it's that sometimes I even feel like with what we're talking about right now, like I've had to really throw myself out there that like, who cares if I'm talking about men that I've slept with or like going to Fire Island and being nude. But there's a part of me that's like, but that's not academic. Like that's not what you're supposed to do in the university. Like Andrew, you're supposed to hide your personality behind the books. And but I enjoy my sexiness, like, and being out there about it.
So do you want an example? And like, I know you guys have, are awesome and so dedicated to my show. And I've explored this concept on my show, but here's a perfect example of what you're talking about. So I used to be concerned by this very thing. And we could get into it's a whole other ball of wax, like what Mary's talking about, where it stems from, like, you know, patriarchal and women perpetuating it. Even my mom, right? Like, oh, you want to dress classy? Oh, in a meeting, right? It's like that whole thing. So I always used to, not that I dressed like a librarian, but I definitely dressed like I wanted to be taken seriously as a thinker and a writer and an intellectual. And, you know, it's been this whole journey I've had. And it's funny, it's like a delayed reaction. Like I did this in Playboy, you know, a couple of years ago, and it's almost like I'm actually living it now. So I've had this whole like body, mind, sexual evolution. And I even joked earlier about like having my nipples out, right? And a part of working on like my body, for example, like really crafting like the body that I want because of everything we're talking about, that inner to outer confidence. Part of it has been owning my sexuality, no matter what vector of life I'm in. If I'm in a professional and a personal setting, I'll tell you, I just moved to Nashville and I started not wearing bras, like as you can see here, right? Because again, it's just so freeing and liberating. They're real. I'm just like, here they are, like they're just chilling. And again, it's part of that power that perhaps, Mary, right? The patriarchy has been like, no, cover that up. We can't be distracted by that. And it's funny because, you know, you talk about, Andrew, like, should I be looking like this? Should I? And when I first got here, I started to go to networking meetings and things and being like, I almost went back into my old mode of how I would dress in LA. And I was like, no, like, if you're going to do this, go for it. And I always I had that inner dialogue of like, are people going to think you're a bimbo? Are people not going to take you seriously? But it's wild because when I unleashed that, and I did it, I had a meeting today and basically I look like every meeting I go, I dress how I will dress, like whatever it is, like the little Britney jeans and the braless sweater hugging my boobs, the pink, like I'll just go for it. And once people see that and they hear me speak and hear that I'm intelligent and what ideas I have, the effect is more profound than anything that I experienced thus far in my career. I mean, like it is literally like on the spot. They, if anything, like want validation from me. They're messaging me after being, so it just goes to show how we get in our own way, and society has really put us in those boxes, in those corners, and not have, you know, advocating for us to unleash it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that interests me though, since we listen to Taylor so much, is how shy you get when you talk explicitly about sex. Like you're one of the most prudish when it actually comes to talking about the act of sex. And I find it fascinating for all the like other hot button issues. You're like, but I'll talk about the political divide. I'll talk about like, you know, the world on fire, but okay, talk about Taylor in the bedroom. Okay, I'm done. But it's kind of like Bridget and Holly in a way from Girls Next Level. They're very shy when it comes to like the bedroom or anything. And I wonder, is that's different than like the male podcasts that I listen to called Stiff Socks, where it's like these two male comedians, Trevor and Michael, and they're like, this is when I got hard. This is like how big my load was. Oh yeah. It's like all the topics. They had one of their fathers was on talking about going to a like porn cinema. But again, I wonder, I don't want to say it's a gender difference, but is it more like, or is it, oh, I shouldn't be opening up about that. I'm not going to be taken seriously if I talk about what I do in the bedroom.
It's so true. Cause you're right. I will go there no matter what it is. And I will often joke on my show how I'm a prude. And I want to put it here on the record. So I'm a prude in the sense of I don't like date around or sleep around, but like once I'm in the bedroom with you, I will be the freakiest, nastiest bitch you ever met. So like, that's like,
so she's a freak in the sheets.
Oh, 100. Yes. So especially with this whole new like thing coming out of what I'm talking about, it was always underneath, but now it's like to the nth degree. But that's you're right. It's a really interesting thing. And I think, you know, when I really think about it, I think it might be a part of what we're oddly enough talking about is like, I want to be taken seriously as like a, you know, intellectual and, you know, a thought leader, so to speak. And so I almost feel like, and this could be contradictory of everything I just said, but I almost feel like being like, I came like this and like that, almost like cheapens it or something. I don't know. And that's why, right? Like you talk about guys talk about like this, that's why like Call Her Daddy was so revolutionary, because it was like girls having that kind of locker room talk. So, you know, yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit something, and there's a little bit of like, you know, and I'm like this in real life too, dating. Like I like to keep a little bit of mystery. Like I like to keep people.
Yeah. Well, I remember last time you were here, it kind of gets us into Playgirl, which like the whole point of Playgirl was about the fantasy of the men. Like they had to be like, it's not just, you know, the like cock like just displayed. It's like, no, we think, we're like, oh no, we think women, they don't care about like how big the balls are or the cock. They want like a firefighter, and this is the day in the life of him, and then there's his hose, like there's his body. But I mean, they really miscalculated Playgirl, but we could get into that about who actually was the one buying Playgirl.
I know. But it goes into my theory of what I said one of the other times I was on your show about how men are so much more inherently visual than women. Like another podcast that we listened to was talking about, you know, kind of the origins of Playgirl. And I just thought it was so fascinating how one of the original photographers talked about how he, which is hilarious, right? Which was a man trying to capture the female gaze, but I digress. But he talks about how with like the penthouse and this, it's like the full on puss and the tits, like come get me. Whereas the female gaze, you know, quote unquote, is like you're kind of on looking and the guy doesn't know. So he's like in a river bathing or smoking a cigarette or whatever, and you're kind of like an observer, but he doesn't know you're looking.
Yes.
And that is so true though, isn't it, Mary? Like there's that iconic shot of Brad Pitt from Fight Club. And he's like his abs and he's all bloody. And he's like looking away from the camera. So hot. And again, he's not like, here's my cock, you know, it's like that sort of elusive thing going on.
Yeah. Well, everyone's making a big deal out of the White Lotus that apparently I need to start watching this. Well, I probably have watched it as this came out, but like,
you have to.
I know I need to watch the second season, but apparently the one actor, like there's a side penis and it's like all the rage. Then they're like, we think it's a prosthetic. Oh, because I actually heard in Hollywood, is it true men are not allowed to actually show their penis? Like it has to be a prosthetic?
I don't know, because didn't Ben Affleck show his in Gone Girl, even though it was like a half of a frame?
I'm not see.
I think that was his.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I feel like something. I feel like it would be NC-17. I don't know, but
right.
Well, something that was NC-17 and everyone can listen to it is we recapped the Blonde film with a Marilyn Monroe biographer. And when you talk about intellect, I think Marilyn Monroe, and I think of how, and I sometimes wonder, like when you own your sexiness, like, are you automatically, do people have a difficult concept of talking openly about sex? And especially pornography, which is like the #1 search term on the internet. I mean, it's like since pornography has been in existence, even in cuneiform in Mesopotamia, there was porn on the caves.
I just watched it today. I mean,
wait, you just, good for you, Taylor.
There you go. I mean, yeah.
She's rubbing one out. Okay.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly.
But
and if you say you don't, you're lying, everybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
And now, a message from the Gay and Lesbian Review.
Hello, listeners. This is Stephen Hemrick, the publisher of the GNLR, here with a special offer just for you. For those of you who aren't familiar with the GNLR, let me provide a little background. The GLR is a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features such as artists' profiles and the popular art memo column. Each issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme and brings together the leading minds on the topic. You won't find a lot about the latest dating fads or fashion trends, though you might find articles about online dating as a social phenomenon or the gay influence on 20th century fashion. For example, the theme of the current issue is Queens and Kings, and it features an article by Andrew Holleran about Truman Capote's relationships with glamorous women, the women he called his swans. Now for the special offer. When you subscribe, you'll receive a free copy with any print or digital subscription. That's 7 issues instead of 6. Visit glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Click subscribe and enter promo code ITBR for your free issue. And as an added bonus, you'll receive online access to all archived issues of the magazine.
The Ivory Tower Boiler Room is so happy to welcome Broadview Press as our official sponsor. Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high-quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish in the humanities, mainly in English studies, writing, philosophy, and history. They always publish with an eye towards diversity, so there is a strong list of titles from women, people of color, and other authors from marginalized groups. In the summer of 2022, they launched their new Broadview anthology of American literature, which increases diversity in the classroom because it rethinks the American canon and breathes new life into the American Literary Survey. It's actually been called, quote, the new gold standard in the field. I love using Broadview Press text in my own classroom at Stony Brook University. I can't wait to use the new anthology of American literature when I have the opportunity. And for all of you out there, Broadview Press has given us the official code Ivory Tower for 20% off site-wide on broadviewpress.com. Again, that is code Ivory Tower for 20% off. I'm so glad though that you bring up that photographer, because I started to look into just like his photos that weren't just for Playgirl, because then he like did all of these like gay porn site, very like artsy photos. David Advance, I think that's his name. But then there was this amazing Esquire piece called A Penis on Every Page, and Daniel Nardicchio, who's now, I didn't know Playgirl Plus is actually still online. I was like, oh, Playgirl's online. I didn't know that it was still in existence. And there's still like the man of the month. And he's the vice president of marketing. And he went to all these meetings with straight men because, as we know, and I'm sure you know, Taylor, like Playboy, like is mostly like straight men who are running the top echelon, even when it was Playgirl. And they're like, why do you want to like make Playgirl so gay, or like have you're embracing the gay readers? And he's like, well, I want to make Playgirl for cock lovers from cock lovers. I thought that was the best line.
That's really funny.
I'm like, well, it's true. That. Like you're saying, this is a visual medium. So yeah. A lot of the like viewers are going to want to see the penis on every page, because that's like for Playboy. Except Playboy changed, didn't it? Like when you went into Playboy, Taylor, it's not like the whole early 2000s and then 90s, 80s, 70s of the centerfold. Like it's not all nude images anymore.
No, right? You know what's funny? It just shows how times have changed so much. So despite all the controversy that's unfolded around him now, but the feature in the print issue right before us was Ezra Miller. And he was like in bunny costume, like not the full-blown like corset, but he was like, from what I remember, like skirts with the bunny ears and stuff like that. So that just goes to show how much it has changed. But I think there was a centerfold in my issue though, with the whole like pull out and the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, and like what I love though about Girls Next Level, which is doing really well on the charts, I'm sure I've heard, with Holly and Bridget, is like Bridget talking about her communications degree or political science. I forget. She did one of those degrees. And then like, again, it's like that surprise. Like, wait, most of the Playboy bunnies and the girls next door were going to college, like when they were living with Pep. And but that's this. But that's so shocking. Like, oh, they were in college classes. I think shows the point you're making, Taylor, about the intellect.
100. And even, if we're going to get political, no matter how you feel about it, like if you were just able to look at it from like a third party, objective point of view, but like think about how much shit Melania Trump got for like nude images and stuff like that. It's that same thing. Like she was just, you know, completely, you know, skewered by people. And it's, you know, it's that same exact concept, right? It's like, you know, it's just
like that shouldn't be what that shouldn't be the critique. Like
exactly. Like we shouldn't be talking about you or critiquing you because you were a model and you married someone who just so happened to become president. You know what I mean? Like
well, it's like when nudes are released, why is that such a big deal? In like
why that's true.
Well, and then wasn't there that like there was that throuple politician. Do you remember that? There was I forget her name, but there was when I talk about it, it might trigger the memory, but there was a woman who was a representative in the House, something like that. And they thought she was in an open marriage, but it became this big deal because like the man like outed her and like outed that. Yes, you're remembering. There was this throuple and he outed that it was an open marriage, but then he like leaked her nudes, I think it was in California, I'm pretty sure. But you know, it tanked her career.
Exactly. And the sad thing is, this is something, I mean, it goes back eons, right? Human sexuality and how think of, you know, again, you know, famous paintings and work of art. Like we are just mesmerized by it. And it's actually, oddly enough, like one of the few universal things that we all experience, yet we keep it so taboo. And even you know, politically, I've been talking about this a lot lately too. It's like, it's insane to me, you know, you talk about Melania Trump, but how the right is so psychotic and uptight when it comes to this. Like Candace Owens calling Kim Kardashian a soulless corpse for her sex tape. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not saying a sex tape for the world is the same as like what goes on privately in your bedroom, but the way that my point is the way these people talk so puritanical, it's like, have you never had sex? Like you have kids. What was it? Immaculate conception? Like, it's just, it's ridiculous. And, you know, they're all guilty of it. And it's sad because again, it's like, it's the one unifier, like relax.
Yes. Yeah. But Tommy Lee, is having a field day right now with showing he doesn't care. He'll show it in the bathtub.
I was so happy when I saw that.
I'm obsessed. Actually, you just reminded me. I've been meaning to like get it framed and put it basically where this like clock is. Like I'll put the clock on my head. But I'm dying to have his wife Brittany on my show. I have been following.
Oh, you should.
That would be amazing.
She seems like a good time, Taylor.
I know. I just love their whole vibe.
Yeah. Well, so like the difference between Playboy and Playgirl, like again, for Playgirl, we didn't have the Playgirl mansion. Like we didn't have the wet and wild parties, the pool parties, right? Like you don't see, I mean, there are some TikToks now of frats like having wet car washes. Like, have you seen these guys like bearing it all? And, but I feel like it's always a shtick. But I feel like for men, it's a shtick. It's like the Magic Mike show, the Chippendales, women screaming. Like, it's not like, oh, grind on me. And like, we're going to get aroused. Like maybe the women are aroused. I don't know, but it's not, I don't feel like it's when men go to a strip club.
As
like,
someone who has been to a male strip club, I can confirm. Yes, I have been aroused when that was occurring. So
good. Okay. Mary's for it. I like it.
But like, why do you guys, okay. So I just had this conversation on my show with Court Crandall. He is the man who created and wrote Old School, right? Like iconic.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes. Oh, and he came out with a new comedy now. So we were just talking about, you know, the differences then and now in comedy and all this, but we talk about nudity, and he admits, you know, maybe in Old School, there was some gratuitous nudity that wasn't totally necessary. But I asked him, what is it, getting to what you guys are saying? Like, what is it about female sexuality? Is it because women have been sexually not as liberated through the years? Like, what is it that with women, it's like so serious, and with men, it's like, even in film, right? It's like Jason Biggs like fucking an apple pie, or Jason Segel like flopping his cock around, right? It's always like silly slapstick, and like it like rarely ever goes the other way with women.
Or how about like when there's sperm in Cameron Diaz's hair? In what movie is that?
Yes,
exactly.
With Ben Stiller. I think that's the movie.
Yeah, with there's something about Mary.
Yes.
Something about Mary. There we go, Mary.
Yes.
Well, and actually, there is a Welcome to Chippendale show coming out soon. November. Oh, it's out as this episode's been released. It's like the behind the scenes of how Chippendales got started. But again, like I don't think in Chippendales there's a private room or like
exactly.
I mean, apparently though there are women now paying for gigolos. This is starting to become a big thing.
Oh, I know.
Okay, wait. Can you tell us about what's happening with that, Taylor? Like women paying for gigolos?
Well, I have heard and read that it's not just women, but apparently older women. Have you seen this, Mary?
No, I have not, but I'm not surprised.
Don't exactly quote me, but I think that it's a little bit of a trend. Like, I think you're right, Andrew. It's a thing that is happening right now. Yeah.
And I'm glad. I feel like,
well, you know why?
Like, I feel everyone should be sexually liberated. And I feel like sex work is work. So, I mean, like, you know.
Well, I heard it's because they want the pleasure to be centered on them. Like, they don't want to have or from what I've read, Taylor, like they don't want to have, they don't want to be in a situation where it's like this power dynamic. So in a way, like, since they're paying, they feel like the man is giving, the man is making sure that, well, just like think of a female escort that like the man's going to be pleasured. In this case, the woman's going to be pleasured. And it's not like the man has to intervene. Like there isn't the fear of the penis in a way. And I guess I could see that as, I guess, like focusing on the big O for women. Maybe.
I think there's also something to be said. You know, I mentioned older women. So I don't know if you guys know this, but it's so crazy. So women's sex drive increases as they get older. Mary, you know, you're shaking, you're nodding, and men's, women's increases and men's decrease. Like men, obviously, like teenage boys, right? Like that's their peak. Like literally will jizz like brushing up against a tree. And so I think that there's something to be said about that. Like older women being like, let's go. Like, I'm ready. Where are you? And the guy's like asleep.
With older women, like, because, you know, the fertility, you know, your fertility is running out. Maybe it's this notion of, oh my gosh, I can actually enjoy this without having to worry about getting fucking pregnant. And like,
that makes sense.
You know?
Yeah,
exactly. I think so. And I think that older women, again, I think we're breaking out of that, like, you know, housewife Betty Crocker thing. And I think women, like the older they get, are getting more empowered, hence like enlisting young male gigolos to just
they're owning their breadwinning status. Mary, we got back to the breadwinner.
You guys, you know what would be funny is if we watch Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo. I've never seen it, but obviously it's iconic.
Oh, we should recap that.
I know.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, if you ever do a Gigolo episode, Taylor, invite us on. I'll talk about gigolos.
I need an interview on my show, like a male or female. I guess what would be the pimp, but a gigolo version.
So like a male sex worker.
Exactly. Who like runs a show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but you want the big kahuna.
The head.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Well, so like, you know, as we're wrapping up, I want to get to like our steamiest section here, which is I just want to know from each of you, and then of course I'll divulge, but what's like the most taboo or like steamiest thing you think you've ever done when it's come to being open sexually? Like not in the bedroom, but just like actually describing or voicing, verbalizing, writing a message to someone. Like what's something where you felt awakened and empowered, that you felt empowered because you were owning your sexuality?
Mary?
Go for it, Ted.
So, okay, I will divulge because you say on my show, I like don't usually go here, but I will say, really exploring and playing into the submissive role as a woman has been incredibly exciting and freeing. And I think our society teaches us, listen, like I'm a control freak. And so when I first started kind of dabbling in this, I was like, wait, this isn't right. What's happening to me? Oh, do you hate women? Why would you treat me like, you know what I mean? And then once I really started to explore, letting go of that control was actually in turn the most powerful thing. And it's still a process because it's like the bra thing. Sometimes my brain and in it will slip back into that old mode and be like, wait, are you okay with it? Wait, like, you know what I mean? But yeah. And it's like there's a certain like, again, because I do intellectualize everything. So I can totally acknowledge how like porn can be destructive and misogynistic and all this, but sometimes I'm at odds because it's like I have that in my head, but like with what I'm experiencing. So it's like, you like this. No, but you shouldn't like this. No, but you know what I mean? Like, Mary, I don't know if you experience that, but it's like constantly at odds. And so just kind of like letting go and not holding on to that control is in a way like control. It's like power. I don't know. It's so hard, but I've noticed like, and this is like what I was saying before, how we're all so innately sexual, like it's poured into other aspects of my life. Like I used to go into meetings and be like so nervous and be like, and now I'm just like, what's meant to be is going to be, and I'm going to go in and own it. And I can't control everything. And it's like, it's literally kind of seeped into everything. So that's been really huge for me. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, Mary.
Yeah, like a leash. Like I'm talking like leash. Like,
yes,
like
girl.
Yeah. Oh, get it.
Like, I feel like we're on the same page already.
That's the kind of thing at first I'd be like, do you hate women? Like, oh, this is so degrading. Oh, but then again, once I get back to like, there's something so hot about a guy who's like dominant and in control, of course, in safe bounds, right? But I'm saying like,
so you're not pegging any men.
What?
I said you're not pegging any men.
What is that? Is that sex lingo?
Pegging is like if you had a dildo and you were, you know,
a strap on.
If you were banging a guy.
Oh no. Like,
because I've heard bodybuilders really like to be pegged. That's something I've heard.
You hear about really powerful CEOs and people who literally like to be humiliated, like eat your own shit and this, right? Because I mean, that's like an extreme version of it, but it's
she went there.
But it's that idea of the control. But it's so funny because like a friend of mine said, it's almost like when it comes to the dominant submissive thing, like you're innately either one or the other. And it's so funny because even like when I'm scrolling on porn and I see ones of men like being walked on a leash or humiliated, I'm like, next, like it's such a turn off. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I mean, but I feel like almost I had like the reverse because I feel like I was always down with being the submissive. And then like, as my view of society started getting greater and greater, you know, from my teenage years into my 20s and stuff like that, I started wondering, like, is something wrong with me that I'm okay with this?
Yes.
But also like, at the same time, it makes me happy. And in a way, it makes me also feel powerful at the same time. So like, I'm not going to give that up. Like, it's one of those things where if it's like, if I'm going to be wrong, or if like, you know, I don't want to be right if I'm wrong in feeling this way.
Yeah. Well, I'm a power bottom. Do you both know what a power bottom is?
No, but I'm excited.
I do.
Gay terminology. Oh, no. So a power bottom is like, I enjoy bottoming. You're learning a lot about me, everyone here, but it's a sex ed discussion.
Love it.
We
But
wouldn't have
like,
any other one.
It's a man who like is very assertive in a gay hookup or relationship, who like really enjoys being topped, but like it has to be on my terms. It's like, no, this is the position we're doing. This is how I want you to bang me. And I love it. I mean,
it's something like when I was first exploring this and getting my feet wet, and again, hating giving up that control. Someone, and this was a pivotal moment, but someone said to me, it's almost an essence of what you just said, Mary, but it's almost like you having the wherewithal to put yourself in so knowingly and like confidently in that position to be just like, do whatever, like is power. Like you consenting to that. It sounds kind of backwards and counterintuitive, but right, Mary? It's like,
right, but it's not.
It's like, it's a power because you're like, yeah, I signed up for this. Let's go. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like, am I the only one who messages, like sends nudes in Instagram DMs, or it might be a gay Instagram thing? I've gotten like nudes in my DMs and then I'm like, oh, I like that.
Well, you're brave because I have plenty of nudes on my phone and I don't trust any of these apps. I'm such a skeptic and I'm worried that the app will have access to my camera roll and like something will be upload, like even because sometimes I'll do like filters on my nudes in my story and then save it and then get rid of it and I'll triple check like this didn't post, right? But I get paranoid because I'm like, once they have it, do they have it forever?
Right. And sometimes I wonder if I'm like, is it really that bad? Like if it gets out like accidentally like that, you know what I mean? Like, is it really going to be that bad?
Oh, see, I don't care. I'm like, if I ran for office, my number one thing in a stump speech would be, I have nudes. They're going to come out. Okay, let's move on. You know, but
exactly.
Yeah. Wait, Taylor, if we go for like, if we go for like 5 more minutes, is that like,
no, it's fine. Yeah,
really bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You know, I care about time.
No, it's
because I don't want to like go over.
Last like point on that though, you're both so spot on. Like even having like my ass and my boobs like blasted in Playboy, even to your thing, I'm like, if this dude got out, and I always default to that. I'm like, well, you could just say you were in Playboy, so like you own it, like you own. But I still have that thing of like, oh God, would it be bad?
Well, we have your ass in these Instagram photos. Taylor's ass is right on our Instagram, so in a very intellectually tasteful way. And I noticed like you're the only one really smiling in the photo. Did you realize?
Hilarious.
As a Long Islander, I was so excited when I finally found a med spa that totally matched everything I wanted. I was looking for a good facial place, a good place that had skin products. And guess what? In my hometown now of Port Jeff Village, there is Skin Med Spa. And I'm here with the owner, Lauren, who's going to explain to you all what kinds of services are offered, products that are offered, and why you should come to Skin Med Spa if you're in the Long Island or New York City area.
Well, we wanted to open up a place that was offering all holistic, natural treatments that were really providing results driven, where someone could come in maybe struggling with acne and has tried so many different products and they couldn't find what's right for them. So we customize all treatments to really help you dive into your skincare goals, whether it's anti-aging, rejuvenation, like I said, acne, just to help with cellular turnover, focus on building healthy skin. We have 2 locations. We have Skin Med Spa and Body right here in Port Jeff Village. And again, we focus on all natural plant-based skincare. We'll help you design a good custom skincare line for you, and we'll help you find the right treatments, whatever your skin needs.
Yeah. So Lauren and Sarah, they know that I get butt cupping here. I get hydrofacials with Rosie. I get jet peel facials with Lauren. Everything here is so wonderfully curated, like Lauren said. And there's just any kind of product. Oh, I know. There's now laser hair removal. I mean, there's always a new product being offered. So everyone out there who's listening, if they want to come to Skin Med Spa in Port Jeff Village, how can they find you and get in touch?
We're really active on social media. So at Skin Med Spa PJ on Instagram, that's the best way you could probably find us, because we really try to post daily updates of our clients and who's coming in and the treatments that we're doing. And of course, on our website, there's always links on how to book an appointment. But everything we do, when you call us, that's always the best way. We answer the phone and we'll talk forever and help you find whatever is perfect for you.
Okay, well, hopefully Lauren gets to meet you all. Say that you heard Skin Med Spa's ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and maybe I'll see you all here. Okay.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.
Hey, True Crime and Ivory Tower Boiler Room listeners. Listen, the holidays are literally right around the corner, and I know that some of you are scrambling to find that gift for that person on your list who is just so difficult to buy for because they have everything, or you're sitting there in your home and you're realizing that there is this space in your house that just is begging to be decorated, but you don't know what to put there. Well, I'm here to tell you that Mandy Made It has the answers to all of your holiday needs. Mandy Made It makes the best handmade crochet and cricut items I have ever seen. And I mean, literally, she can make anything. The customization options are literally endless. So go to @MandyMadeIt on Instagram and search Mandy Made It on Facebook. Slide into her DMs and order your customized holiday gifts and decorations today. That's @MandyMadeIt on Instagram. And Mandy is spelled MANDEE. Once again, search Mandy Made It on Instagram and Facebook. Slide in her DMs and order your gifts or holiday decorations today.
Yeah, it's like where all of your butts are to us and like everyone's giving a look and Taylor's like just like this big grin. Like Taylor's loving it.
I love it.
She's so happy. Everyone else is giving like a sly look. But I will say the funnest thing I enjoy doing now that you're learning more of my sexual side, Taylor, is I actually love sending my straight guy friends. Like I'll send them my butt pictures and I'm like, what do you think of this? And they're like, you own it. I think I like getting a reaction out of my straight friends.
Oh, they're probably
Like
so flattered that you even thought of them to like get their validation. Like, trust me, they are like, they're flattered. They're honored. Yeah.
Yeah. But now if I send them like a gay porn video, they're like, my one friend was like, I looked at the thumbnail and I stopped. I was like, okay, that's fair.
Thumbnail.
So what, like for one of our the final question, we'll say, now that everyone listening is like, they're like, okay, what's your kink out there, audience? Let us know. Message us in our DMs. We'd love to know. Again, it's not like everyone's sending me nudes in my DMs, but I do think like on gay Instagram thirst traps, it's a whole other sphere. And I'm sure like, so Taylor, do men send you nudes in your DMs?
They'll do that, where it'll be like images blurred for your whatever. And I never look because again, I'm like, I don't know what's going on there. But
so it's not like a friend following you send you something.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, gay men, we are wild.
Yeah. You guys really are. I mean, I feel like I talked about this one of the times I was on your show, but the conversation I had with Lance Bass about how he even said, like, we talked about number one, the age gap with him and his husband, and how again with straight people it's like like such a big deal, and also being more like sexually like active and promiscuous, and he's like totally like just it's how we roll. We're men, we're visual, like and I think
we say it too, like we're more comfortable to voice it.
Yeah, you guys are just, I feel like liberated in a way that straight people are still so uptight about in so many
you've
ways.
seen what's liberated me is my short shorts.
Yes.
But also he did say that not that Lance Bass is like the end all be all, like the gospel for gay living, but he was saying because of this nature, how like, I think he said this, how like gay men will cheat and how there's just like more of it because it's like, I feel like straight or gay, like guys are guys, like guys are visual and sexual and women are too, but it's just, I don't know. It's just not at the same level. I don't think.
Well, and Grindr should be a whole other episode. We'll have you back, Taylor. We'll talk about dating apps and, we need to like talk about gigolos more.
I know.
But because like Grindr, there's men and women who like there's men who are in an open marriage with a woman. And like, I've seen this and they're looking for a man to bring in. It happens. I mean, like, this isn't out of the norm. I just think that it's not talked about in a societal way. Like, bisexual couples. Yeah.
Not
Wait,
me.
what?
I was always the jealous type. So like,
about
never
open.
Yeah.
That. And also I feel like at the same time, like I was always also like super insecure. Like, even though I was like, yes, this is great, I feel powerful, there were always like certain insecurities in the background that always made me feel like I can't share because it has to be about me, because I need to know that you like me and not me and this other person, kind of a thing. Like, it was a validation.
Yeah.
How about you, Taylor?
I can definitely be a psycho bitch. Okay. So we're really ending it on a bang, no pun intended, but this might be down the line. I don't know if I'm ready for this just yet, but I'm the jealous type too. I feel like in theory, like me and another girl with my man would be super hot, but I feel like in real time I'd be seeing red. Like I literally would be like, why are you enjoying this? Why are you enjoying, you know what I mean?
Like Sam from Sex and the City, where she kicks the other girl out of the bed after they start. She's like, fuck this shit.
Yes. But I always, for whatever reason, like, especially more now as I'm like stepping into this, I just feel like it's one of those bucket list things, whether it's like two other guys, two other girls, whatever. And I don't know. I don't think it's off the table. I just think it's like you only live once. I feel like it's just one of those things that I'll be like, I'll be kicking myself if I never experience that.
Just try a threesome and to end on the bang.
Just try a mocha instead of a latte. I mean,
yeah. But like to end on the bang, would you feel more comfortable like if it was another guy with your boyfriend? Like if the other guy was with, like, it was more about pleasuring you?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what's crazy. I used to think it would be like, and I still do think in theory, the two girls thing with my man would be hot, but like Mary, I could be like possessive and jealous too. Like I totally get that. I think for whatever reason lately, maybe it's a submissive thing. I feel like it could be really hot, like kind of giving pleasure to two guys and like them having their way with me. Like that would be so hot. But again, it's one of those things that it's like, is it fantasy? And like, where does it blur to where when it's in real life, it's suddenly like, oh, this isn't. And that's the thing with fantasy, right? It's like, you try it, I guess it's trial and error. And sometimes it doesn't like register in real life, but it is something that I've definitely like, you know,
and it would be hot if like those two guys made out too at the same time, you know. No,
I don't think that. I don't think
that's my fantasy. I'm like, my fantasy is a woman in the bed with another guy, and then like I take the guy, and then she like leaves the room.
So that's.
So I'm stealing the boyfriend.
I like that.
Oh, I could see that for you. It's like the forbidden fruit, right? So it's like the husband of the wife, but really like he's in the yeah.
So watch out, Taylor. If this ever happens, I might like
Mr.
knock on the door.
Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Steal Your Man over here. My God.
I'm just kidding. Well, see,
like don't let me get wind of it because I'll be there to swoop in.
You know what? This is gonna be the next Playboy Playgirl spread. They need this fantasy. It's been done. There's videos of this fantasy. Okay, well, thank you, Taylor. This was exciting, enjoyable, intellectually stimulating, as always. We know how to blend sexiness and intellect.
Yes.
You know, we have you in the room with us. So thank you, Taylor. Happy Playboy anniversary for 4 years.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for sharing your time with me. I adore you both. I think that you're amazing inside and out. And I can't wait for the next one. I always look forward to doing this with you guys. So.
Oh, we'll have you back. We need to talk more about what we ended on with like threesomes and apps. I'll open my Grinder up maybe and like just do anonymous reads. So anyone out there, they're going to be like, now we're not messaging him. Okay. But
it's a total cliffhanger. So
this is a cliffhanger. This is a climactic moment. And this is our blue balls moment. Okay. Bye, Taylor. And bye, Mary.
I definitely have blue balls right now.
Yes. Yeah. Bye, Taylor. Sure. Bye, Mary.
Bye,
Thank you so much.
Mwah, mwah, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Ivory Tower Boiler Room audience. It is Andrew Rimby, the director of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Welcome to our winter season. And are you trying to stay warm this season? Well, guess what? We have the Ivory Tower Boiler Room Cafe. It is our Patreon where there is so much bonus content. So I'll go over all that. But first, it's only $5, which is less than a latte, a cappuccino, a coffee, a tea, basically anything now because, you know, we have some inflation going on. So join us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. What do you get? You get Gregory Maguire giving us all the scoop on the Wicked movie musical. You get Jesse Green giving us his hot takes on the Broadway musical. If you don't know who Jesse is, well, you should, because he's the chief theater critic of the New York Times. You get all the JFK and Marilyn Monroe scoop from Elizabeth Winder, a Marilyn Monroe biographer. So much more. You get all our video interviews. You can see everything, including the bonus content. And Mary's going to tell you from True Crime and Academia what you get later. But if you're not following us on social media and seeing our video teasers, well, you need that to stay, nice and energized on these winter days. So follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. While it's still here, why don't you follow us on Twitter at Ivory Boiler Room? And here's my chief contributor, Mary.
Hey, True Crime friends and Ivory Tower Boiler Room friends. Like Andrew said, you're going to get access to all of this bonus content. That includes True Crime and Academia. So not only will you have access to the bonus episode each month, you will also have video access to the interviews that I conduct on my podcast once a month. You get all of that extra content at your fingertips whenever you feel like watching it, literally for a cup of coffee. So why don't you just buy us one? That'd be so nice. We would appreciate that because we love your support already, but we could use a little bit more if you don't mind.
Yes, we could. And also, hey, do you all know you can actually DM us questions at our social media channels? Yes. Also, why don't you ask us questions with our social media posts? We love it. We even shout out questions on our episodes. And if you want, you can always email us at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com to actually order our merchandise. So we have hats, we have t-shirts, we have posters, we have everything. If you want any merchandise with the Ivory Tower Boiler Room logo, we're going to make it happen for you. Okay, on that note, happy winter season, everyone.
Happy winter.